I just got my license and planned a 2-hour road trip to a theme park with my friends, but my mom said no because I'm a new driver, so I vented to my friends expecting support, but one of them told me we should respect her decision and called me immature for being upset, which made everyone else turn on me too. Posted by you/able_locksmith_9516. So I, 17M, just got my license a couple of months ago, and I was super excited to finally have some freedom and be able to drive places with my friends. One of the big things we had been planning was going to this roller coaster park that's about a 2-hour drive away. When I told my mom about my plans, she said she didn't want me to go. She said it was too far of a drive for someone who's still a new driver. I tried to tell her that it would be good driving experience and something fun and memorable to do before we graduated, but she didn't budge. I was frustrated, but at the same time, I get that she's my mom and her whole job is to worry about my safety, so I wasn't that mad at her. It was just disappointing that she didn't think I was ready, and that we wouldn't get to have this fun road trip I had planned. Later that night, I messaged my friends. I just let them know that the whole thing was off because my mom said no, and I was basically just venting a little. Most of my friends responded how I expected, yeah, that sucks, basically. But one of my friends, let's call him Jim, said that we should respect my mom's decision because she just wanted us to be safe. I said it felt like he was taking my mom's side over mine. That's when Jim told me I was acting immature. What made it worse was that my other friends started siding with him and telling me that I need to grow up for being annoyed about this. I told my mom about this conversation I had. I was curious if she thought my friends should side with me on this because they're my friends, or her because they agree with her. Instead of getting where I was coming from, she praised Jim. She said this showed I had good friends, and then added that good friends don't just back you up when you're wrong. That stung way more than her original no. At this point, I'm not even mad at my mom anymore. I get why she said no. Who really bugs me is Jim. I was just venting about how disappointed I was, and he turned around and made me feel like I was in the wrong for even being upset. It feels like both of them ended up on the same side, and I was the odd one out. I keep thinking if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't have done that to him. Am I really the one in the wrong here? Is Jim right and I'm being immature, or am I justified being annoyed at how he handled it? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you are being immature about it. Ops response, they were on board with the trip until my mom said she didn't approve. How is that maturity? I shared this post in the group chat, and they renamed it Jonah's mom is always right. I'm not the only immature one here. Commenter 1, ah yeah, doubling down is going to help. Ops response, I've been placed in a no-win situation here. All I wanted was to go on a fun trip. My mom shoots it down. I say I'm disappointed that's how she feels and ask if we should go anyway. My friends turn on me. My crime was being a newly qualified driver and wanting to take advantage of that. Does that really make me a villain? Commenter 2, villain? No. Not realizing that your friends have your back even if they disagree with you? Yes. Seriously, you have a friend who will go, hey, is this a good idea? Instead of going with the flow. That's huge. It shows he actually cares about you and what happens to you. That being said, you're a newly qualified driver, and you want to take a 2-hour road trip to a theme park with friends. Have you ever driven with a bunch of hyped up excited teenage boys? They're distracting. Have you ever driven when you're mentally exhausted? Would not recommend. Have you ever driven when things go sideways? What do you do if you get a flat? You're a brand new driver. Practice driving first before making road trips. Commenter 3, yeah, Jim is right and you're being immature. Take a deep breath and apologize. Ops response, just feel like at 17, it's fine to be willing to take risks. I actually find it kind of puzzling that my mom not approving was enough to change his mind, because earlier, he did want to go on the trip. Commenter 4, it's fine to be willing to take risks, but it's not fine to be willing to risk the lives and safety of all your friends as an inexperienced driver trying to take a long, I assume highway, drive, which you will have to drive everyone home from after a long day when you're tired. For all we know, maybe nothing would happen, but maybe you'd crash. Maybe you and your friends could get hurt or worse. Everyone takes risks at 17. You're right. But is it worth taking this risk? After some reconsideration, which is normal and happens often when people hear different perspectives and opinions, it seems your friends are no longer comfortable taking that risk. That's okay. Commenter 5, info, is driver's ed really that lacking wherever op is? Even during lessons, we go on the highway here. Route on exam is decided by raffle, and even that can include highway. If we have 20 hours official driving lessons, we can drive anywhere in the country by ourselves as long as the education center signs off that we are qualified, as long as we don't take passengers so we can keep practicing until our exams. Commenter 6, in Vermont, people under age 18 are only allowed a junior license for the first 6 months. Those have restrictions such as not allowing them to drive for work, Uber, delivering pizzas, but also they're legally not allowed to drive with passengers under age 18 for the first 3 months. I did my driver's ed classes in New Hampshire, 20 years ago now, and we had an entire 2-hour lesson on the party in your car. The more distractions a driver has, simulated by having to sort a deck of cards while listening to music, doing addition problems, and having another classmate try to distract you, the higher the chance of an accident, and the statistics we were given then showed a huge difference between new drivers who drove alone and new drivers who had friends with them. Our driver's instructors also gave out personalized lists of things we could pass on the driver's test but still made them nervous about. I made mine nervous with driving on roads with 3+ lanes each way, lane changes, and traffic. A friend got warned about night driving and driving in bad weather. Another was told their attention started to flag and they made increasing mistakes after 30 minutes behind the wheel. So putting a new driver in a car with several distractions, for a long drive, presumably through traffic and lane changes, is asking for trouble. Op might convince his mom still. Options include a dry run. Hey mom, I want to treat you and younger sibling to the amusement park. If I drive both there and back with you in the car, and pay for our day there, will you let me do it again with friends? Where mom has the option to take over driving if she deems Op's behavior unsafe, changing the date for that amusement park trip to April or May of next year. Op says he's 17, and wants to do this before graduation. Most graduations I'm aware of are in May or June. 6+ months of extra practice and volunteering to drive for longer periods so she stops worrying, choosing a closer fun but less exciting location. The ocean is a 2.5-hour drive from here, but a nice big lake with a beach is 45 minutes, etc. Commenter 5, yeah, I missed that he's 17, but still, if he passed, it either means he's a good enough driver or exams don't mean much there, right? Here you can take your theoretical at 17 and your classes as well so you can be ready to take your practical exam when you are 18. When you have your permanent license, you need to go back to retest after about 6 months to make sure everything's stuck, though that's a fairly new rule. I asked because I know not all countries have the same standard on driver's ed nor regulations about it. Plus, not every country has the same concept on what a long drive entails. Here, a lot of people drive over an hour to work, so a 2-hour drive for fun is rather minor. Though on a low traffic day, it could get you to the other side of the country. Hell, I'm 20 minutes to 2 hours driving away from 4 other countries with current traffic conditions. Commenter 7, soft verdict. Your friends probably were excited about going and at first weren't thinking of the laundry list of things that could go wrong with a new driver. Jim probably had a lightbulb moment after you mentioned your mom not approving of your plan where he realized just how unsafe it would be, not only for you but for every single person that would be in your car. The reality is that you've been driving for a few months. You aren't experienced, and you are in fact acting immature. I understand the frustration on your part completely. It's not fun to have someone back up a parent you're currently upset with. But it's coming off as a little selfish that you're angry at Jim for reconsidering his comfort and safety. Have you never felt one way about something, then changed your mind after getting more information or hearing a different perspective? Your mom is also right in that real friends won't enable or encourage you to make unsafe choices. I'd apologize to Jim, thank him for caring, and recognize that you have every right to feel upset, but at the end of the day, he's trying to prioritize everyone's safety. Commenter 8, your friends behaved maturely while your reactions were those of a petulant kid. Op's response, you don't think it's normal to want to have some independence and try new things at 17? Commenter 9, I mean, if you're ranting this much about your mom and friends, maybe at this point your friends realized they didn't want to be in a car with you for 4 hours. Commenter 10, I don't know if times are just changing or you just have very responsible friends. Back when I was 16 or 17 and one of my parents told me I couldn't drive somewhere, no way in hell would I or any of my friends say we should respect your mom's decision. We would figure out a way to do it anyway without getting caught. Commenter 11, even you could see that your mother had a point, so why is it bad that Jim thinks so too? Op's response, the part that bothered me was the timing and the way he sided with her. He had been just as excited about the trip as I was, and the moment I mentioned my mom didn't like the idea, he immediately took her side and ended up turning other friends against going. I was asking if we should still go anyway, and that's when he took her side. That made it feel less like he was just agreeing with her and more like he was actively helping her enforce how she felt about this. Commenter 11, she doesn't need reinforcement. She has her feelings about it all, and she told you that. You agreed with her. Then he agreed with her. Now you're just causing problems. Update, later the same day. I've spent the past couple of hours trying to think about what part of this truly bothered me. At first, I thought I was just mad because he sided with my mom, but after really thinking about it, I realized the real issue was that I didn't know how to respond to what he said in the moment. When I was venting, I was expecting the kind of support you usually get from friends when you're frustrated. Even if they don't agree 100%, they just let you blow off steam. But instead, Jim called me immature. That totally caught me off guard, and I didn't have any comeback or way to defend myself. It felt like he had kind of put me in a corner in front of everyone, and that made me even more upset. Another part of why I took it so hard is because, honestly, I really wanted this trip to be something that would bring me closer to everyone. I've always felt like I'm on the edge of the group sometimes, and I thought being the one to drive us on this big adventure would show them I was dependable and fun to be around. So I guess the reason I was so annoyed is because the whole situation made me feel powerless. I couldn't convince my mom to let me go. I couldn't get my friends to see my side, and I couldn't even properly explain why I was upset. It's like I was frustrated on 3 different levels at once, and it all came out as me being mad at Jim. I'm still disappointed the trip didn't happen, but I think the reason I was upset with Jim had more to do with me feeling like I lost control of the situation than with what he actually said. I just didn't know how to deal with that in the moment. I did talk to Jim afterward, and we managed to clear the air. He said he hadn't meant to make me feel singled out, and he genuinely thought he was just looking out for us. Once we both explained where we were coming from, things felt a lot better, and we're good again.